So not so the system path is not specified. Okay, okay, so okay, 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 okay. This is I don't want. I want one note, one note. Where is my one note? One note. Yeah, this is the one. So we are gonna be AWS. Today is gonna be day two. I'm going to copy paste this one to day 02, and that's gonna be our course that we have enrolled ourselves. Okay, before I even do this one, I need to make sure that my voice is being heard properly. So let's go to our YouTube channel. In case you guys don't know, I need to check everything. So YouTube @ code for coin. Lovely. I can see live session. That means we are already joined. And I can see I can hear my voice. That means it's perfectly fine. In case somebody joins, I'm going to use this screen as the interface to connect with them and reply on their reply. But one thing I want to do is, hey, I send hi, and okay, so I'm getting here as well the reply, so I don't need to keep this open. So I will reduce the stream downstream of my this one. So let's keep it like this. Okay. So this is my channel. Uh, I am quickly gonna check if somebody send a message something. Okay, I send myself, so it's fine. The screen is looking good because I'm sharing my screen. Voice is good. Screen is shared properly. So we are good to go. Currently, there is no one joined. That's completely fine. We are gonna start with day two of our learning. First of all, even before we start, this is our channel where we do live session every single day, and we try to build our skill set to be a better developer in terms of a cloud-based technology, in terms of coding, etc. We're gonna go step by step. Currently, we are doing two streams in afternoon, and one is midnight. Afternoon is Postgres SQL structure query language, because I think that's something we should start with because it's easy to relate and code, and then we can go much more deeper in coding. The night one or the midnight that we do is AWS services, because that's cloud-based services. It's a must or essential for someone who is into data or data related with information. Nowadays, even SDE or software developer also need a lot of services from AWS. So this is gonna be beneficial for them as well. That being said, today is day two. What are the links you need to be very careful? You need to know about this YouTube. First one is our LinkedIn profile. Simply go and follow me, because there's a lot of articles that I write after this one that is based on our learning, that is being notified over my account on LinkedIn account. So you will miss out in case you are not following me there. Second one we're gonna do is GitHub repository, where we keep all the resources that we learn throughout this session. So it's gonna be more interactive resources, very crisp and interactive. Simply go and check that out, because in the future when we will be revising this one, we're going to take that as a reference, not anything else, because that we're going to create based on the official website, official channel, so it have more relevant and up-to-date information than any other place. So that's going to be something you should be following. So let's quickly click here. That is our platform. You need to go to AWS repository number 3003 AWS. Here is the syllabus, and I'm going to start soon. So reload this one. Okay, so sometime it does show this issue. So I don't know why this happens at times, but okay, after some time it's going to unlock. But ultimately, the crux is we're gonna start with AWS learning, and today is day number two. And day number two is all about continuing from where we left. So I will quickly go to our OneNote, and today we're gonna continue. What we're gonna continue? We continue our section that we were learning under the course of AWS, that is data engineering on AWS, and the one we want to continue on the section is foundation. Continue uh, foundation, role, and responsibility, or I think it was something else. Role and responsibility, role and services. I think I don't remember. But let's copy it here because this is the one that we are gonna leverage as we continue our days. That will be curated information. So let me keep it here. So okay, perfect. So what was the one? Are we so let's do a recap. We were we gone through AWS website, official website, and we learned in order to get the certification, we need to go through some resources and do practices. And the resource is being curated by AWS Skill Builder, where we have created our website. Oh, sorry, our account using our Google ID. If you haven't, just go and create it. There are a lot of it's very easy to do process. Second thing what we did yesterday is to understand the flow. So there are basically a couple of sections that we need to ensure that we as an individual perform well in order to get in order to pass our examination. So basically four things we learned that as a data engineer we need to make sure that our hands-on experience is really good on those things, especially using AWS thing. So if I get back here, firstly I need to write down this one was the topic. So it involves where leverage design frustration, no roles and concepts, role and concepts. Okay, so yesterday we learned that for data engineer, data engineer who leverage AWS services, we need to pass there to be certified data engineer who can leverage AWS services to perform data engineering tasks. We need to get certification to be certified data engineer, the AWS data engineer. And the certification is called your AWS data engineer CA01. CA01. Okay, so ADE is like Azure, Amazon Data Engineer Category 1. So this is the examination that we need to make sure that we pass it with the flying colors, and I think it's around 120 minutes. As a data engineer, four major part we need to cover are the four major functionality of a data engineer we need to learn through AWS. So the functionality of the role and responsibility of data engineer is, so what is exactly data engineer we need to understand first. So so the data engineer itself suggests that is an engineer who work with the data. But before we move forward, we need to do something. We need to make sure that we are getting proper rest. So Pomodoro, so every 25 minutes we're gonna be very focused, and for 5 minutes we will take break. So let's start. Uh, So let me pause. So how we're going to devise 2 hours of session. So every 25 minutes of session is going to be and 5 minutes of break. So in this fourth session, first session is going to be we're gonna do a recap, and then we can gonna call start, and remaining 2 3 session we're gonna study and continue. Okay. So let me start this one and let's start. Perfect. So we were here. So what we learned that as a data engineer itself say an engineer who work with the data. So the role or the primitive role or responsibility of data engineer was that transform data from its raw form to a digestible or meaningful information. That is the crux of data engineer. He transforms the data from its raw source to meaningful information, and why it is needed is to make meaningful information, to gather meaningful information and then take the uh, best decision based data driven business decisions, right? For data engineer here, if you look at this one, data engineer role and responsibility. So there are four things as a data engineer we need to learn, and these are the four where we are gonna being tested for our certification. The first one, as a data engineer, we are responsible for ingestion and transformation. So first one, we're gonna learn about ingestion and transformation, and for this one, we're gonna leverage AWS. I think Glue. Let me check it. So I wrote everything. This is revision. That's why revision is really, really important. Design and maintain just, yeah, AWS Glue and Lambda function. So what we're gonna do, use AWS Glue and AWS Lambda function. Right. Second thing we're gonna do, since we are able to take the data and we need to ingest the data somewhere, we need to store the data somewhere, right? That means we need to design the data infrastructure, data storage infrastructure, so that the data we are bringing for transformation can be stored somewhere. It is not like in fly you're gonna bring it, from where we're gonna store. That means we're gonna design and maintain data storage, data storage infrastructure. It can be anything, like it can be a data lake, that is Amazon S3, that is simple storage service, or it can be a database. So Amazon provide RDS, relational database as service, relational database service, or it provide one relational database service that is inbuilt. So Amazon inbuilt a relational database system, that is Aurora. Okay, or it can, or we can use data warehouse to store. And what's the difference between database and data warehouse or data lake? We're gonna learn as we progress, so don't worry about this one. So we're gonna or we can use a data warehouse, and Amazon provide it through a web service called Amazon Redshift. Perfect. So two things is done. First one is to gather the information from different sources and then transform and then load it to a place or to store into a place that we're gonna design. Okay. Third thing that we're gonna do is to orchestrate and automate the process, and I think that is what we call data operation and support. So data operation is like making it absolute functional, or make it absolute automated. So data operations and support. And fourth and last one that we're going to do is data security and governance. Data security and governance. Okay. So for data security governance, we're gonna leverage Amazon Crawler. So Amazon Crawler is an event-based software that goes through each and every file in a data lake. It is scan it and try to get it try to scan and get the metadata out of it. It read it by themselves. They are not being provided. Anyone dump it. It goes there, simply read the file and get the data, metadata or the data about that file, like what information about that file, like what is who dumped that file. So the owner, where it is done, the location, what's the file name, what's the format, is it Excel, it is a text, is it a video, it is what is the format, and then according to the format it gather more information. For example, if it is an Excel, it will get the headers, number, rows, and few other details. So this information is being generated by crawler and it is stored in AWS Glue catalog. So catalog become your master metadata storage. Right. So, so this is done. I think there are a few more. Oh, okay. Yeah, so we're gonna learn about more before we could do it. So this is done, two is done, third one is done. Okay, so right now we are into, so before we start preparing for the examination, we need to get by and understand about AWS services as a data engineer. So we're gonna take a prerequisite course, that is data engineering on AWS, before we prepare for data engineer associate examination, right? So for this one, we gonna go through and learn few modules, and the modules are five. Okay, and these are very simple logics that we're gonna leverage. First one is it's gonna lay foundation. Second and third is all about storage, and fourth and fifth is all about data processing. And this is exactly we do. Foundation will let you know about the different services, different role and responsibility of data engineers, and how AWS enable this thing for a data engineer. So foundation lays that overview. Then two major parts. Even from the definition, you can understand that it extract, transform, and then load the data. So two major things is happening. First one is data extraction and processing. That means data processing. Second one is storage. So that means design and maintenance of data storage or data infrastructure. Correct? That means two major things, data processing and data storage. And that's exactly why these four are. First two is about data storage in data warehouse and data lake. Second one is data processing. So data processing can be done into is batch processing or stream processing. Batch processing is like you get everything at once and you started processing this one. So you have to wait before everything comes. Okay. Best example of this one is your uh, clock. So what happened in that truck? Like they load everything one by one. Once the entire back section of the truck is completely occupied and full, they close the door and then they move. But processing is transforming this boxes or this item from one place to another. That's the processing, and it will start only when the truck is completely loaded. So it's a batch processing. Everything is loaded and then the process. Okay, stream process, it never wait it to be filled. Whatever it comes, it will automatically throw that into the process. The best example of this is conveyor belt. So conveyor belt moves on. You simply put the package, it will move. You put the package, it will move. You will put the package, it will move. So how you can relate it is very simple. Suppose the truck is there, you need to load. You put a conveyor belt that you on the conveyor belt. You put the item or the box, it automatically goes and get into your truck back of the truck, right? So whatever in the conveyor belt that you keep on putting the object, right, and it is being transferred from a position to the inside of the truck. Every box is going continuously. It's not waiting for all the boxes to come and then put that into the truck, right, inside the truck. What is happening once you load it the conveyor belt, it automatically start with the process. It's same example is video streaming, or when you see something on YouTube or TikTok, never wait for the entire video to load into your system. It's through package. So suppose your video is like when suppose 10 minutes long, right? So it won't wait for the entire 10 minute of video to be download into your system and then start playing. No, it will what it does, it will take only it will break into multiple packages, small packages. It will throw the package, and what you are saying is the one of those packages, not the entire video. And once it's finished the other package, the subsequent package, they have some linkage, and you use the linkage that next package or the video part gonna play, and then the next, and that way you watch the complete movie. So you are not watching entire movie at once. You are watching bit and pieces. So streamline is all about bit and pieces, and your batch processing is all about everything at once, right? So these are the five things that we as a data engineer need to learn in this course, and that will lay a foundation for us. And somewhere this is somewhere it's a core responsibility of data engineer. Perfect. Let's go to this one. Any questions so far? Let me check if somebody joined and they have a question here. Nobody joined, so let's quickly go here. Okay. So let me have water. Foundation, role, and responsibility. This is one. So we have started here, if you can see here, section. So in this chapter, we have started our first, very first section inside our course of data engineering on AWS. The first one is foundation, and that's where we're gonna learn about rule and the concepts. So introduction is as part of foundation in the course of data engineering on AWS. We will understand who are data engineer, who are data engineer, and what they do as part of role and responsibility and make sense. Furthermore, we will learn what is AWS and how data engineer perform data engineering tasks on AWS ecosystem. It makes sense, such as continuous integration and continuous delivery, CI/CD. Continuous integration, it will continue integrate like stream, and then continuous delivery, it will deliver the things to the customer, the client, or end user in the same stream fashion. So CI/CD. Infrastructure as code, that's something I want to learn. Serverless application, cost optimization, authentication. Okay, so these are the different services that it provide and data engineer use to accomplish their task. Okay, so at the end of this one, what we gonna learn or what we gonna take to our home? What will be the takeout? So takeaway gonna be first one, we will be able to describe about data engineers, who are data engineers, their role as a role, right? As a role, what exactly they do, who are data engineers. We will be able to tell that about, right? Okay, and what they work with. Second one is identify how to perform data discovery to help define requirement and review consideration. That's something I don't understand, but data discovery, I need to understand from which perspective he's talking about. And that's something good that we're going to learn about this one. Third thing we're going to learn about is identify common data architecture and appropriate AWS services. Okay, perfect. Recognize how to orchestrate and automate data pipeline using AWS service. Perfect. Identify AWS security and monitoring service. Okay. Identify common CI/CD tool used by data engineer on AWS. Perfect. Identify infrastructure as code tool used by data engineer on AWS. Perfect. Describe AWS serverless application model. Perfect. So it's called SAM, serverless application model. And this is really cool. But I want to delve more and get more insight of this one because I don't want to. I'm basically unlearning everything so far because my information, my knowledge is something I gain as part in bit and pieces. Basically, I learn everything when I was in project, and I keep on learning through different websites of this one. So it was coming in bit and pieces. Now I want to learn thoroughly so that I can eat them together, or tie them together, and it make more sense to me. So that tomorrow when I talk to the people, I have better understanding what I say at the first place. Okay, so then identify AWS cost optimization tool. Perfect. Identify different AWS security mechanism. Perfect. That also we understood. So what are the services we gonna leverage? There are many services, but the three top that we got to know is AWS Lambda that we use for processing, data processing. Amazon S3 simple storage services is about data lake to store any kind of data information. Then AWS Identity and Access Management, that is called IAM. Perfect. So now we're gonna learn about data engineers. That's very important. They are responsible to convert raw data to insightful information. That's what I was talking about. They convert raw data into meaningful and insightful information. Right. But what they do, they so basically they do two things. The first one is based on the user requirement. They design, develop, and maintain data storage or data architecture, where the data gonna reside, how they gonna reside, who gonna go, who gonna access that one, where the raw data gonna be, how the process and how the data's flow gonna look like. So they are responsible for design and develop and maintain data storage. And I love this part. Second thing they are responsible for is creating pipeline to extract, transform, and load data into the target platform or the data storage that we are created at the start as the part 01 or as the part 1. We are good on this one, right? We don't have any doubt on this one that I feel not sure how you guys feeling, but do let me know your thought process on this one. Like what is about? Yes, like what is so good, man. So now we understood so far the overview that who data engineer are, what their responsibilities. We understood this too. So okay, so who are data engineers? Data engineers are the people who are responsible to convert raw data into insightful information. First thing, how they do it? They do it, and what exactly they do it for this one? They do two things in this entire process. First one is they design, they develop, and they maintain data infrastructure or data storage. Second thing is they are responsible for creating pipeline to extract, transform, and load the data into our data storage or target platform. So two things simple: data storage and data processing. Data storage, data processing. You need to remember this one. So I'm also writing here for our convenience, that is data. They are responsible for two things. First one is data to storage, perfect. And second one is data processing, perfect. So now we understand overall. Now we need to understand what are exactly they do as end-to-end process, so that if I put these balls together, form the entire workflow. Okay, I want to understand the entire workflow as a data engineer they do. I understood the overall they create, they create an infrastructure for data storage, and then they create some program, they leverage something, I don't know what, but they do the data processing to convert the data from raw to meaningful and insightful data, and then they store that data into that data storage that they do. But what is that workflow? This is overview, right? For example, I have to give you an example for this to understand. It's same as a teacher. Okay, what teacher does? He teaches the student. But if I have to say like this, do you think this generalized information can tell everything about a teacher? No. We need to understand what their method of teaching, whom they teach, how they teach. So we need to understand end to end, right? Similarly, we understood that what engineer do in a broader perspective, but as a workflow, if we have some data from to here, how they're able to transform, what are the steps they do, what is that workflow? Because if you do something without a workflow, without any system, people gonna miss a lot of things. It can lead to havoc. So we need to have a system. So what is the system for a data engineer to work with, or what is the data flow they work with? So there are five things that are really important as a data engineer we have to learn about and implement. What I learned here. So the five responsibility, the five things as a data engineer we need to do. First one is design, prepare, and maintain data infrastructure. The same thing that I'm talking about. So there are multiple data storage platform AWS provide, because we are becoming the AWS data engineer, right? So how you become data engineer if you don't want to become AWS data engineer? So just replace all the storage services AWS provide with some other vendor. You're data engineer ultimately, right? So what data engineer does, they design, they develop, and they maintain a data storage. You can use AWS services, or you can use Azure, you can simply use third party vendor, anything you can do. So if you have data that is come, it can be very unpredictable format. So there are multiple users, they can dump any file. It can be Excel, it can be image, it can be video, it can be anything XYZ. Because you need a storage which is capable enough of storing anything, and that is called data lake. Data lake itself means any kind of a data you just dump there. Doesn't matter. You put there. Okay. Any file. So so when I say any formatted file is .mp4, .txt, .csv, .xlsx. So these extensions, like ultimately everything is a file in a computer, right? Is that extension determine how the data is being stored into that file? That differentiate the things, right? So any formatted file, be it MP4, be it MP3, be it TXT, be it CSV, be it XSLX, that is Excel, or be any of that, you can simply go and put that as a raw file into data lake. And data lake, AWS provide as a service, and this service is called S3, Simple Storage Service. That's why Simple Storage Service means you can dump anything without worry about this one. Second thing, if you have very structured data, so you can store in two ways. First one, you can either store in relational database management system. If it is transactional data. If it's a historical data, you can store it in data warehouse. Both storage system is being provided by AWS as service. First one is called RDS, Relation Database Service. Second one is Amazon Redshift. In RDS, it can provide you MS SQL, it can provide you Postgres, it can provide you MS SQLs. These are the database relation database management system it provides as a service. It has its own inbuilt relation database management system that is called Aurora, and that is much faster, cleaner, and much more reliable than any of the other platforms. So if you want to go, you can go with Amazon Aurora database management system. Apart from this one, if you have semi-structured data, okay, you know that you don't have structured data, you don't have unstructured data, you have semi-structured data. Then you can go for NoSQL database, where you can store document file, you can store the key value pair file, you can, for example, just JSON file, XML file, all this you can store it, and it can enable you to process these kind of information much more efficiently compared to any other of data storage. So first one is done, data storage. Second one we talked about is to extract the data, transform the data, and load the data, right? So ETL we usually say. We have this process, or we enable data engineer in on AWS using Amazon Glue and Amazon Lambda function. I'm not sure what exactly they are, but Amazon Glue job enable you to perform data processing. Okay, so first one is data storage, second one is data processing that you can do on AWS using AWS Glue job or AWS Lambda function. How to do it, I don't know. We're gonna learn it as part of the module, and that's gonna be more interesting than just guessing how to. Has a model. Any doubt, guys? Let me quickly take any question if somebody has this. Okay, so there is no one that joined, so we will continue. Then the third responsibility as a data engineer, AWS data engineer, is prepare data for analytics. Okay, so first one was data ingestion. Is simply go to different sources, whatever the data we need, we just extract it and then we load it into our system. So first part is done. Second part is these data that is ingested in our system now. We need to transform into process data, right? That was our initial intent. First one is to extract and then ingest in our system. Why we need to do this process? Okay. First one is data storage, where we're gonna put our data based on the data we're gonna extract from different sources, right? But how we're gonna do it through data ingestion process? We go there to the respective data storages, then we extract it, and then we load it in our system. That is called data ingestion. Extraction and loading into system is called data ingestion. It's the second part of our process, and we use it. We gonna leverage AWS services, that is AWS Glue job or AWS Lambda function. Second one is data structure processing, data processing. Okay. Uh, I think I will skip this one and I will continue for 25 seconds because I don't want to break the flow. Okay, so the third thing is data processing. So first one is data storage, second one is data ingestion, third is data processing. These two work together in our initial the module the top module and the module that we're gonna leverage to prepare for our examination. But right now, these two is being splitted, and it makes sense to split them. Okay, first one is simply access the sources where the data are and then bring it into our system. Now you can ask a genuine question: if you're doing this, why don't we simply process and then load the transform data? Why? The thing is, there's time when it is possible that the data we want is an amalgam or is a junction or a join from the data that is residing into different platform. Okay, one can be in a file format living in a US based some IT office. There can be another file that is living somewhere in Canada as a tax uh, tax filing file. There is a possibility there can be a data that is stored in a retail grocery somewhere across Asia. Now we need to understand, if we do everything in on-go process like a stream process, there is a time, there's a possibility that the data that is coming from somewhere might get corrupt in between, or you told everyone that at 4 o'clock I'm gonna come and get the data. Some is possible that their system is down, they are not working something. You will keep on waiting for that particular file to come, and it will keep on consuming the resources, and it might possible that the entire system may fail. And the problem is, it is not your error, and is technically not an error that should stop your workflow. You should have keep on running with the old data, but now that you have created your system like a stream base or live base, the entire flow gonna get disturbed because of that. Okay, there are multiple reasons. This can be one of those reasons. Okay, that is the reason you segregate the process to make it more modular. You have more focus, and you can divide the task to multiple people, so it become easy to assign the task. It's become easy to access the task. It become easy to monitor the task. It become easy to curate and form a structure to make an end-to-end flow. Okay, so first one is data storage, preparation of data storage based on the data we're gonna receive. Second one is data ingestion, to go physically to different sources, access their data and get the data that we want and ingest into our system, data ingestion. Third is, now we have the raw data from every place. Now we will read it, transform it based on the business rule, the business requirement, and the data we need to form. And after transformation, we'll load it back into our system, or we will load it somewhere else. Okay, so this is the third thing, that is called data processing. And this data preparation or data processing can be done again using Amazon Glue job, Apache Spark, or Amazon EMR. Okay, I don't know what are they, but we're gonna learn them one by one in our system or in our course. Fourth one is catalog and document curated data. That was I was talking about. So at a given point of time, we should have metadata about our system, about the data we have, so that it's become easy to access and manipulate the data, right? So in case our data is being stored in data warehouse, database, NoSQL, we know what who the owner is of that file, when it was dumped, when it was last modified, what's the name of the file, where it is stored, what kind of data it is stored, the format of the file. And since we know the format of file, we will take the corresponding information. For example, if it's an Excel, we're gonna get the number of columns on the header of the column and maybe number of rows as well. Or if it in stored in NoSQL database and it is a JSON file, we will have all the information stored, metadata information stored like key pair value. What are the key, what the corresponding values is being stored, how it is stored, what's the key value. Okay, or what are the keys for those files, that metadata, right? So this is something done by AWS crawler that I was talking about. It is a system that goes into the storage, read each and every file, and try to extract information about that file, what exactly that file is. So information about the data, that is also called data about data, is called metadata, information about the data. Same thing, who's the owner, when it was done, but when it last modified, what is the format of the file, where it is stored, what is the name of that file, and so on. And as I told you, this information is being stored in AWS Glue catalog. Okay. So if there is no Glue or catalog, our data lake will become data swamp because there is no distinction to understand what kind of a data we are storing and where we're storing. It's like it's same as it's like a garbage. You just throw it everywhere. And if you don't know which garbage is being thrown where, it will become a heap of garbage. Uh, After this is automate the process. So now we have created the storage, we have created the code, extract and ingest the data. Then we have created the code using different AWS services website to load it. But now think from the production perspective, think from the operation perspective. Like, so you have loaded these things into the production. Now, sometimes in the production, the requirement is you need to run it every week. Okay, you can do it. You can simply go to a time, then you can trigger your Python code that you use to extract and ingest the data. Then you can execute your Spark job or Spark code to read and process the data, and then you can trigger it. But you can do it manually when it was once a month or once a week, so it's very easy, right? In case if the file has to be committed every single day 12 midnight, are you willing to wake up every night to do that, even on your weekends? No, right? That's also manageable. Suppose your requirement is the data has to be refreshed every hour. So 24 hours you are available to refresh your all the files one by one manually? No, right? So whatever the code or the system or the services you used, you should be able to orchestrate them. Orchestrate means is to create a system where somebody like code, somebody automatically goes and trigger your ingestion code. It will read the file automatically and it will load the file into the system. Then the same trigger, once that is done, it get the flag, okay, first process done. It will trigger the second job or the second process of data processing. It will run your Spark job, it will read the data and start processing. So let me show you here. I should not simply speak, I should draw as well. So you created a Python code for ingestion, then you created a Python code for your or Spark job for data processing. Okay, so you can't do it manually every time. What you can do, you can create one code that will take this job, run at whenever time you feel like, every hour, every 2 hours, every 3 hours, every half a day, or every day, or every week, every month. You can schedule that. So what it will do, it will go and start executing the Python code for ingestion. That's the one. Okay, it will do. Once it get a flag of positive, that means this process is done successfully and data is loaded from different sources. It will go to this Spark job and ask it and execute this. Once this is executed, it will send back a token that this is done. You can move forward with the third process. And whatever the third process is, it will start executing this one. So this process of pipelining different processes or different steps in the data engineering in an alignment based on the logical workflow is called orchestration or automation or automate the entire process. Okay, so this is critical, this is important. And as I told you, sometimes we have to do it every hour, every 15 minutes, every quarter, right? Quarter of an hour. That means we can do it manually, and this is where orchestration or the AWS services as orchestrator comes in. The biggest example of this one is your Airflow. Okay, so AWS Step Function, Lambda, AWS Workflow. Okay, AWS they haven't written it, but that's there, that's there. Now we have orchestrated everything. So now first is that data storage is done, the ingestion is done, data processing is done, then the metadata is done, then we have automated the process. Now what is left? Left is data security and data quality maintenance. At any given point of time, we need to ensure that data quality is being maintained thoroughly and or moreover the data security, data governance is being handled properly. So data governance, what is data governance? Small about it has variety, it has many branches, but one of the few is data sensitivity, or insensitive data, sensitive data. For example, you cannot leak someone's email ID or anything that can be leveraged to identify an individual, like phone number, home address, as blood group, is a medical history. So these kind of information should be, at given a point of time, should be redacted, or it should be hidden properly or masked properly. That's the data governance. That's part of data governance. There's more to that. Data security, again, the data is not breached. Whatever the data authority is being provided to an individual, it is being never breached. There are many things, and how we do it. One is AWS IAM, identify and access management. Second one is data zone and data lake formation. I'm not sure what they are. They may be related with the corresponding data storage, but nevertheless, we will learn it. So this is the recap of the P1, and I have to say I did really good job on this one. That's the day 01. Perfect. Now let's go with the day 02. So let me check if somebody joined. It just has a chat. It doesn't have if somebody joined. So I need to quickly check here. Okay, so nobody joined. We can simply get started with our this one. So as you know that we are leveraging AWS Skill Builder to learn for our processes. So we will quickly go there. I have already have this information. So let's click this one. It will automatically take me to there. And that's the best way of using the resources. Let's get the link and paste it in your document. Okay, so this was the outline. So we were here in the course of this one. We are under the section one. So introduction, data discovery, and this is the one. So we need to enroll. We already need to sign. So let me web this one so I can sign in. I just changed to web. I need to change it back. Once I log in. Okay, perfect. I logged in. Let me switch it back. Perfect. So I'm already back to this one. So video transcript. This we already read this one. This we already compiled. So this is good. So now from here we need to start. So far we understood who data engineers are, what their responsibilities are, and what are the corresponding AWS services being provided for data engineer to accomplish these tasks. Okay, so what are the 5 tasks we learned so far as a data engineer? So basically, if somebody asks you tomorrow who are data engineers, so data engineers are the people who are responsible to convert or transform raw data into meaningful data, insightful information, as they do. And how they do it? They basically perform two things in this whole process. It can be part of this one. You can separate the service. First one is design, develop, and maintain data storage or data infrastructure where they place or store the data after extracting, processing the data from the different sources. So they do two things: data storage and data processing. Okay. If you have to if you have to go more in detail, like what is exactly the responsibility or the workflow. So first one is design, develop the data storage. Second one is data ingestion, that they reach out to different places where data is residing and then they extract the data. And this, the data residing to a particular department, to a particular place, now interacting with other data, is called data silo or data isolation. Okay. Third one is data processing. Once data is available within our system, within our data storage, we simply extract it, or we just take a copy, we process it, and then create meaningful data. Or then we can simply dump within the same environment, or we can simply throw different environment based on our requirement. Fourth one is to get information about the data. So data about data, that is called metadata. Okay. Now, four is done. But this is all manual. We need to make it automated, that at given point of time, in our test pipeline, it automatically runs. So human intervention becomes zero. This process of data automation and data orchestration is the part of data engineer responsibility. And fifth one is data security, data governance, and data compilation or data compile com, compliance. So compliance, compliance. Okay. So we are good with this one. This is the role and concept, role, responsibility, and concept of data engineer. Now we need to understand with whom data engineer work. Okay. So the person, let me check first. Wait a minute. So in an environment of IT or any platform or any organization, the person who is responsible to bring the money or business or opportunities out of a data is known as a position called CDO, Chief Data Officer. Okay, what his responsibility is, either the data from within the organization, he has to leverage the data that is generated by the own organization, either increase the business or to decrease the expenditure of the business or to get new ventures for the business. So they are responsible, basically they are responsible to make sure the business get benefit out of our data. He is responsible for that part. Okay. So the same as how to put it out. Oh, he's same as a person who's provided with the paintbrush and portrait, and he has to not draw. And it is up to him how he draw it. Material is provided. Same with this guy. It is provided with the data within the organization, out of the organization. Now he need to make sure that he go back to the stakeholders, the shareholders, and tell it that using this data we can do this one. This will benefit. I think benefit is the right word. It will benefit the organization, be it by increasing the sales or by decreasing the consumption on the expenditure or by getting insightful information about the new venture where the organization can be profitable or can earn profit. Okay, so we provide the vision for that one, how to do it. Okay, once that is done, he provide this the idea like we can do this one because he is not technically sound, but he is sound on the market, the trend, how the things work around the world. And then based on the resources he have, he suggests this idea. Okay. Once idea is placed, okay, what the next person who worked with him directly is data architect. Now he understood that this is the data, we should be doing something like this. That means he will create end-to-end workflow. Okay, these are the data we can leverage for this thing. So let me give a very good example. Suppose there's a person who is working in uh, Airbnb. Okay, Airbnb, someone is working as a CDO, Chief Data Officer. Okay, so let me use this. So let me get back here. We understood one thing that Airbnb, the CDO, Chief Data Officer. Okay, he have a lot of data, lot of data. Okay, so but he identified one thing that if somehow we are able to stop those people who are leaving the subscription. Suppose there's a subscription base where you pay monthly and then you can book any kind of a room or hotel for a fixed period of time. If we are able to stop these people from leaving the subscription, they will get more money. Okay, so he's leveraging the data to understand the nature of the customer and their problem, why they're leaving the subscription, and then work on that one to retain them. So they are trying to retain the people who are trying to leave the subscription, right? So his idea is very simple. What they're gonna do, they will see how many times they have booked, what is their expenditure habit, where they are traveling, and everything. And based on that one, they can suggest that for the next trip that they are going, these properties are available for them. And because of they are our subscription people, they will get better discount on this. So suppose they were getting 30, now they will get 60%. That's his idea, right? He haven't done anything at the ground level, but we know this is the data, and we can create one system that can generate some term value. Based on this value, we can reach out to the people who are in the future, what the tendency they are developing the tendency based on the previous people who left the subscription, and they will target these people and give them benefits, more benefits before they make the final decision, and they will try to make them retain in the subscription solution. That's his idea. It's not technically sound. He never gave the how they're gonna do. He never coded. He gave that idea was liked by all the stakeholders. Then he go back to the technical team and like, this is my idea. You tell me how to do it. Then the team of data architect, data analyst, data engineer, and data scientist and data engineer, they're gonna sit together, heard their ideas, and then they will start making a plan. Now, data architect gonna talk with the corresponding team who are responsible for these data. Okay, and he will understand, okay, this is the something we are available. Then data engineer and data analyst and data scientist, okay, they're gonna sit together and understand this is the data, how they can leverage it to create this. So data engineer, what data scientist gonna come here, he will understand these are the parameters, this is the requirement, he can create this model, and based on this model we gonna get this insight. Okay, then data and data architect and data engineer will sit together, and they will understand that he need this information from this places in this format. So he will create a workflow. Okay, he will sit with the data engineer and be like, okay, we have this data here, we need this portion of data, we're gonna create pipeline, this is coming at a stream like real time, this is in batch time, we're gonna create this files like this, we're gonna schedule this, we're gonna store into this system, then we will use these tools to process it, and then we will put this into this system, and B is gonna come here, read this data, run his execution, then put the data back to this system. And then with this system, data analyst, they're gonna do two things. One is directly send the output or the corresponding discounts to the customer, and the data analyst gonna leverage this one and the previous data to check the rate at which the people were living previously, and after 1 or 2 or 3 months, what the change in that rate, and it will show to the stakeholders that before the system was implemented, this system, entire system, our rate of people or our customer who are leaving the subscription was this much, and the trend has been become this. How it's going to show this one, it will make a graph with a black, it will show this was the trend, and with this new model we see same trend, but the intensity, the magnitude has decreased. That means number of people that are leaving are decreasing, and with the future, with the model become much more proficient, it will identify much ahead of the time, or much or more number of people are hurt, right? So this intensity gonna reduce further, and in future there's a huge chance that we will retain more subscribers in the future, right? So you see the whole drama, how the CTO's one idea, how many people got involved, and the same data that was residing earlier is being leveraged to tackle a problem that will occur in the future, and the future losses is being diminished. They are not working today to generate the revenue, they are working for tomorrow to make sure the revenue keep on steady pace without drop. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Let me drop it. Let me take a break. Okay, so we got it. What exactly each one of these does, so we are really good, right? Let me take any question if somebody has. And this is something we already did it yesterday, but let me quickly do it. Which option describe the responsibility of data engineer and data analyst? So data engineers build the system that deliver usable data to the data analyst who analyzes data for the perfect. Yes, we did it. So what are the key responsibility or the key functions of a data engineer? Three of them, right? They build and manage data infrastructure. They never analyze this thing. They build with no, that's analyst. They build and train any task data scientist. So these two are left. Yeah, done. You say data discovery, it came. So next one is data discovery. Okay. So before that one here, we're gonna write about. Perfect. So we're gonna write about who data engineer work with. So first one is chief data officer, that is called CDO. Then data architecture, data architect. Third one is data engineer. Then fourth one is data scientist. Fifth one is data analyst. To project what was the overall impact of these models or this entire system they introduced. So data architect, data engineer, data security officer, data scientist, and data security officer. I forget this one. They tell you like which data is sensitive, which is not, how much you can give access to, how much you can't give access to, what has to be masked, what can't be masked, all this. So data security officer. After this one, you need to talk with this one, data security officer. Okay, so let's take a 5 minutes break and then we'll come back and start this thing. I don't know. Okay, so let's get started. So, does anyone join? Just like quickly, quick check. No, nobody joined. Okay, so let's just start with the third section. Now we're gonna learn for today. Now, today we're gonna learn about data discovery. Let me write it down here. Okay, perfect. So this objective data engineering. Okay, so now we're gonna learn about data discovery, right? That's something we're gonna learn today. What is it? I'm not sure. Let's quickly. What is data discovery? Before you can architect and deploy a data analytic system, following question must be answered. Perfect. Which data should be analyzed? What is its value to the business or organization? Okay, which data should be analyzed? What is it? What is its value to the business or organization? Who own the data? Where is it located? Is the data usable in its current state? What transformation are required? Who need to see the data? And after the data is curated and ready for consumption, how should it be presented? Agree. I think this was the one I was talking about. In the chart, you saw that one. This guy has an idea. CDO's chief data officer. He had the idea. Architect, data security guys, data engineer, data analyst, and data scientist. So these guys sat together and they try to talk that this is the one. Data scientist said, okay, I got your idea and just I need this kind of information. Now this kind of information, that means now architect has to go with CDO to the corresponding people who have similar kind of a data, or they have the reference to that kind of a data that data scientist is looking for. They will understand that okay, is available here, this is the quantity, this is the quality, we need to access this one. Data engineer will come with them. Okay, so they identify this one. He understood where they are, so he started preparing that mental map that I need to create ecosystem where I'm accessing this platform. These are the files. This is the format. How I'm going to access. And they talk about okay, how we're going to create everything. So the initial part of that idea, how we're going to get the corresponding data to fulfill this entire information, the raw data, that discovery of raw data. This is the 4 or 5 questions that we need to ask ourselves before we create that entire architecture. So first one is which data should be analyzed. So based on the idea, we need to understand what kind of a data we need. So that's the question, which data should be analyzed. For example, we were talking about the people who are leaving the subscription, right? So we need to get first the people who left the subscription, and we need to understand what kind of a parameters of the data we needed to understand in the future. Those people who still have the subscription have the same tendency as these guys, and in future they may leave it. They have high possibility that they will leave the subscription. So we need to understand what are the parameters that data scientists will tell. We needed to understand the pattern of this parameter and the people who left it, so that they can leverage this relationship with the people who started showing the same parameters, same patterns, and they have huge possibility that they will leave the organization or they will leave the subscription. Okay, so which data should be analyzed? What is value to the business organization? I don't understand what it means, but let's go with it. Who owns the data? That's what I was talking about. Who owns the data and where it is located? Is the data usable in its current state? What transformation are required? So there's a possibility that the data they have and the owner is also there, but the data is not in usable form. They're still working on it to make it available in the certain format that these guys need it. And in case they do have the format, but they don't care about the format, they can take the raw. Is it possible they haven't productionized it? So the data is in the lower environment or the environment where they're developing. They are not in the actual storage where the process data should be. So what they gonna do? They can't do anything. That means project failed. That's the worst case, right? Yeah, but it happens at time. That means they need to talk with this team, expedite their process, give them more resource, make it the data available at a certain point of time. Before that, they will give them the big data, the place they're gonna place, the schema. That's how this functional organize projects don't have any connection with one another, have work together. Doesn't make sense, but this is how IT works. On Friday night you slept like panda. On Saturday you went for fishing. On Sunday you had a big food. On Monday you realize the timeline that is for a month is been expedited to 2 weeks. So half a month is given now. Why? Because some other team want to use your data that is not right now productionized, that is not available in the production, that is not available in the targeted system. Now you are working your beep off to make sure that data is available in the production within next 2 weeks. So the every energy you the those yarns are you regenerate yourself, regenerate, rejuvenated. You rejuvenated yourself in the weekend. Everything going to knock, right? And you have to now work like anything. So that's how I develop pretty unpredictable. Is data usable in the current form? What transformation are required? Who need to see the data? So now we are talking about the data security and data governance. Who have what kind of privilege? Who have what kind of privilege? Okay, so that's very critical. After the data is curated and ready for consumption, how should it be presented? That data analytics thing, like how they're gonna present this data. So that's analysts gonna take responsibility for this one. Data scientist is responsible for creating the model. So he will give the suggestion what kind of a data he need. Data architect and data CFO CDO will organize the meeting from the corresponding people. They know they might have it or they get the reference from them. Then data engineer from the back will listen all the story and he will start making that mental map. But these are the platform where I need to connect, get the data, extract, transform based on this guy, data scientist requirement, and provide it to these guys to that corresponding platform. When data analyst will understand that this is the impact that they are bringing, and this will show. Previously, the rate of people leaving the organization was this in the bar graph, and now with the new uh, model in place, this has reduced, and the future predictability is going to reduce more as the model become much more intelligent with more data, with more cases of success and failure. The graph gonna go better in the direction, and company will save the money more in the future. Okay. These questions and other are typically answered during the data discovery process. Data discovery refer to the process of finding and understanding relevant data sources within an organization, the relationship between them. It is crucial first step for extracting value from data assets. But data discovery is an important prerequisite to architecting and deploying a data analytics system. But it is also ongoing process. The landscape changes, new data sources emerge, opportunities arises, and new business goals are defined. So nothing is permanent. Suppose this was created and it become huge success. Okay, they were like, oh my god, this is so good. And they were like, okay, you are showing me everything in the dashboard. Why don't you create one more feature where we will understand what it is taking for the people who are converting from regular to subscription based people. And using that pattern, we try to understand how we can do more, providing promotion, providing discount, all these things to the people who are at the edge of the line where they can convert to a subscription base. So now, in the first step, with first solution, they work and create that dashboard where they show the rate at which we have uh, stopped the effect of the people leaving the subscription. Now we are providing another feature where we see the trend, how we are going to leverage the same model and understand people who got converted from regular people to subscription based people and find their pattern and see the people who are at the verge of 40 to 50, 30 to 50%, they are ready to convert, and how they can push those people convert into subscription base. So now they're in the first step, we're reducing the loss of people who are leaving the organization, leaving the subscription. In the second one, they are increasing the sale, increasing the business by understanding the people who converted into subscription base, and they will use this pattern to identify the people who are at the verge, who have the possibility, high possibility of converting, and then they throw the bait of discount, bait of better content, bait of XYZ, and make them convert. So they are increasing the sales. So that the second thing came in, right? So intent was the first one, but they found the success and they were like, if we can do this, why don't we do this? Provide another feature. Business is going, obviously, they pay the money to these guys to do the things, and they were like, oh my god, now we do another. This new feature they are start working after 6 months, they place it, and after 2 more months, they started seeing the result in that one. The churn rate or the rate at which the people were leaving the subscription goes down, people converting to subscription rate is increasing. Now you see, we started stopping the losses and we started getting the business. Same team, same intent, but now they are being used for two different case scenarios. You understood? Perfect. So nothing is permanent, it does change with time. So data discovery steps. Before I move, I should write about this one, but yeah. So data discovery is an important basic. So these questions and others are typically answered during the data discovery process. Data discovery refer to the process of finding and understanding relevant data sources within an organization and relationship between them. It is crucial. It was a step for extracting the value from the data set. I think I can add more to this one. So data discovery refer to the process of finding and understanding data sources which can complement the process or the end result we want or we desire. Okay, they can contribute towards that thing. So as I was talking about the subscription, right? This one. So do you think any data that is related towards the content will be useful for this one? It cannot be, but mostly no. So do we need to have that data in our storage in our entire process? No, because it's gonna consume more space. It's never gonna be used. So why to keep it, right? It's like an extra overhead. So data discovery is ultimately the crux is to understand, basically to discover and understand different data sources which can be useful in our entire end-to-end process or in our entire end-to-end project or process. We need to understand that one. So this is that process. So I can write it here. So we can take this help of cloud. So cloud, ready, is data discovery means it is the first step in the to first step in the data pipeline, not pipeline. Data discovery means to identify and understand the data sources which can contribute towards the entire data business use case, towards the business requirement. So actually, my understanding is right, but the wording and the definition is not right. Yes, broadly that's correct. Data discovery is the process of identifying, locating, and understanding data sources that are relevant to the business need or analytical goal. That's the right one. This was the missing. Relevant to the business need or analytical goal. This is the one. Finding, understanding, accessing, and profiling. These are the four things that involves. Do we have a data we need? Where it is? So the goal is to answer questions like, do we have a data we need? Where it is? What does it look like? Is it trustworthy enough to use? Yep, this is perfect. So you are, if you are defined you you so your definition is on right track. Is essential to the groundwork you do before actually building pipeline. So I was right. So data discovery here, I will write down here for our understanding. Okay. I think we are pretty much. So we are pretty much good on this one, right? So we are good on data discovery. Let's quickly go back to here. And so we understood on the again what is that data flow we have to follow, because I told you that uh, mm, the same as like, can you cook? Answer is yes, but how to cook, you need to give the step-by-step process. Similarly, data discovery means to understand the data sources which can contribute to the towards the business goal or analytical goal. But how? First one is what it do. The second question is how it do. And how is important because that will lay the foundation of the overall system. And if system is designed, that means anyone can use it. If system is not designed, there's always a questionable thing around it, that whether it's reliable enough. Okay, so let's quickly get into the data discovery step. The functions of data engineer might vary across industries and organization, but there are several key ones. Although many of these functions are done at the outset of a project, they are frequently interactive and cyclical throughout the project. Makes sense. As I told you that the first one was to decrease the subscription down rate. The later one was to increase the subscription rate, right? So second one was never was in the picture, but it does came in. But you are working, so obviously you need to go through this process again, like data discovery and all those things, right? So let's we get into this one. Sorry. I don't know what happened. In general, data discovery consists of five steps, same as data engineer role and responsibility. Five roles, role and responsibility. That is uh, data structure, design, develop, and maintain data storage or data infrastructure. Second one is data ingestion. Third one is data processing. Fourth one was data automation. And fifth and last one, data security and governance. Five things. As a data engineer, we are responsible for. Now, as part of data discovery, there are also five steps that has to be done one by one. Make sure that we are doing the things correctly. We don't need to come back and do it again. In case we have missed out something. Okay, they define business value, identify your data consumer, identify your data sources, define your storage, catalog, and access need, and define your process need. Yeah, and somewhere I understood this thing, but not once here. Let's quickly go here. Conduct data discovery kick-off workshop. Yeah. So, it two, seven, 14, 14, 28. Yeah, we can do it. So catalog data discovery kickoff. So define business value. What is the business value? Conduct data discovery kickoff workshop with the stakeholder to understand business goal, priority use case, and identify the potential data. So again, the same thing. What is the core idea or the core target you want to achieve? Once you have that idea, like CTO propose to the team that I want to reduce this one using this logic, or use this is my understanding that we need to do this one. Now the goal is defined. They need to reduce number of subscription dropping every week. This is the thing they need to reduce the number as much as possible. Goal is defined. This is the business value. Okay, this is the defined business value. So conduct data discovery kick-off workshop with the stakeholder to understand business goal. What is our business goal? Our business goal is to reduce the rate at which people are leaving the subscription weekly basis or monthly basis. Second opportunity was to increase this subscription on weekly basis. That is being the new enrollment into the subscription weekly basis, whatever it is. Okay. So we are so our goal was to reduce this one, and parameter is defined by this thing. Second one is to uplift the business. How? Parameter was to increase number of people enrolling for subscription or going for subscription weekly basis. That number has to increase. So this was the goal, and this is the corresponding parameter that will define whether this goal is achieved or not. Okay, the bar graph that I was talking about. Correct. So let's go back to this one. So conduct data discovery, kick off workshop with the stakeholder to understand business goal, uh, priorities, use case, and identify potential data source. So that's gonna be potential. Not sure like it's gonna be always the same. It is potential because it will lead you to some start, right? After that, you can identify more people, you can get references, and go on, go. Following an example question that define the business opportunity. How would getting insight into the data provide value to the business? Ultimately, how the business is benefiting from this particular project or this particular goal that we want to define. Are you looking to create a new revenue stream from your data? As I talked about, are you reducing the expenditure? Are you increasing the business value or the sales, whatever it is, or you are trying to create a new venture altogether? Okay. So are you looking to create a new revenue stream from your data? What are the challenges with your current approach and tool? Would your business benefit from managing fraud detection, preventive this one, good cause, and this one and this one? How are you continually innovating on behalf of your customer and improving their user experience? So, no, no, no. Ultimately, these are relevant to different scenarios, but ultimately, the crux of this meeting is basically what is your idea, perfect, and how it's gonna benefit the organization. What's your idea and how it's gonna benefit? My idea is simple. My idea, so I can present that my idea is understand the nature of the people who are leaving the subscription and then do something avoid this thing. What benefit of this one? The benefit is going to be suppose the based on the patterns, people who are living the subscription. I will understand what is the possibility out of 100 people who can leave the subscription next week. And I will target those people only. I will give them more discount, more lucrative deals, and anything to make them stay. What gonna happen? Those suppose five people were supposed to drop, and the revenue of 200 euro dollars from each one is vanished that day. But when we provided the solution, only two people left, three stayed. That means the loss of 600 euro was saved through this internal system. Okay, so what we are doing, we are trying to avoid the subscription loss, the subscription money lost through this project or through this thing we need to achieve. So the first one, business value, is nothing but what you want to do and how it benefit the organization. This is irrelevant. I don't think that's relevant because this totally depends on the first one, what you want to do. If it is like increase the user experience so that more people can get attracted and the rate of user login can increase. But the question is again, how you gonna do it and what? So your theme is like you want to improve the user experience, right? But the second question is, if you want to improve the user experience, how it's gonna benefit the organization? Two questions: what you want to do and how it's gonna benefit the organization. So it will be like the more the people enjoy this process, it will give them good mouth to mouth publicity, and the number of new users will gonna join it, and the rate at which the new people are enrolling into our system will increase. So that's gonna be parameter where the business gonna see after a month or two with the help of data analytics, the chart and the visualization, whether the solution that was built and the previous solution or the previous without build, how the difference is. Okay, so again, this one, define business value. So data discovery involve five steps. First one is define business value, right? So the first one is what you want to do and how it benefit the organization. Perfect. That's simple. First one is defined. So it's already alarmed. I'm going to take a break of 5 seconds and then we will come and then we will start our fourth session and then we will close it for today. Let me take a break of 5 minutes. Let me quickly check if somebody joined on Twitch because I'm doing the live stream Twitch through my phone. Nope, I I never usually get any people here. Maybe my timings are really bad. I'm not sure how to put in the words, but I do feel like how's my hair? So next session gonna be the last session of this year. I hope you guys gonna organize less quickly there. Well done. We are back. Interestingly. So let's start with our final session. It's really fun. No, let's start with love wait. Okay, it is started. So first thing we understood as part of data discovery what is data business value is. So it gonna answer two things in this one. So initially you will have a broader meeting or the board meeting with the stakeholders where you're gonna tell them what's your intent is, what you want to do it, and then you need to tell them how it's gonna benefit the organization. Last thing. So how you're adding a value to the business. Define the business value. Now you need to understand, define your data consumer. Okay. So you need to understand this one. If you are doing something that will benefit the people, ultimately who is the consumer of your data, your information. So what is it means identify your data consumers. So conduct an interactive session with various stakeholders within organizations such as data scientists and data analysts. Following examples questions can help identify your data consumer. Who are the end users? Which insight are you currently getting from your data? Which insight are on your roadmap? What are the data consumption model? What which tool or interactive interface do your data consumer use it? how real time the data need to be refreshed, what is the total number of consumer for the data consumption model, and what is the peak concurrency. So first thing is to make sure that the business is aligned with your intent and they are ready to invest in your proposal because they understand your intent and how it's going to benefit the organization. Second step is to understand who is going to consume the end result of this thing. The subscription base is something is going to consume within the organization, but who will be the end user to this one is the stakeholders, where they're going to see the dashboard of the previous data about the subscription drop, and the next one is subscription increase. So they will be the ultimate users, and then we need to understand for the identify this consumer end user. You need to understand few things: who are the end user, data scientist, data engineer, or the stakeholder. Which insight are you currently getting from your data? Which insight are you on your roadmap? So right now, what you are getting from your data and how you can use it in your roadmap to like the final insight that you want to have in your data set. Then which what are the different consumption model? Which tool or interface do your data consumer use? How real time does the data need to be for this use case? What is the total number of consumer for this model, and what will be the concurrency of a peak concurrency? So these are the few questions you need to answer, and I do agree with all this one. So ultimately, it's all about the end part, how it gonna look like. So who gonna consume it? How many people gonna consume it? How they want to consume the data, like the real time every 15 at given point, like what's the maximum number of people they gonna use it. Okay, let's continue. The following example. So it is from end user perspective. You have to understand how they how you want to provide the user experience, right? User experience. The first one is to understand who is your end user, and then you need to work on the improving and to provide best user experience. You need to understand for this one that if user what are the you as a user what you want the latest information. You want, if I'm using it, it never get hang. That means it is able to handle multiple people or concurrency very effectively. And the platform I'm going to leverage it, I know about it. I don't need to learn it again. Possibly if something that I'm already using it, just send it in that. For example, a lot of people are aware of Excel. Just put the data into Excel and send it. It's much easier than creating a dashboard and teaching them. They come back forth, and it might not be useful in the future. You might not even use it. So you need to understand how you can improve the user's experience. That's a great primitive of this one. So identify your data consumers. So this is the one. Identify your data consumers. Identify your data consumers. This first one is find who will be end user, how to improve user experience. Okay. Uh, how latest information. Okay, so like how to do it? Providing latest data as per need. Okay, use interface. The end user is comfortable with. For example, few people are comfortable with the web, few people are comfortable with the Excel. So why don't you provide both of them? One, send the email to everyone with the Excel, and second one is they all have the access to the web. Simply go to the web or you can download it. So that's gonna be the second option, right? So or handle concurrency effectively. Perfect. And what else we can do as part of improving the end user experience is interfaces right, providing latest information is good, handle the conference is good. What else I want as an end user? I think that's it finally. Okay. Let's quickly delve to third one. So now I understand. First one, I convince my business to invest into this particular project. Second one is I understood who's gonna be end user. So business is there, they are putting the money. The end user I understood. Now I need to understand the raw data. Okay, raw data. So let me explain it with a diagram. That firstly, I ensure my business they are ready to invest into this proposal. Invest is like they are ready to. So what happened? Every engineer in an IT, they are built hourly. That means if the organization want to make money, they have to. If they're in service based, they need to put them into project and they are working for some client and they are getting money. So suppose they are being paid X amount hourly, they will make sure that they earn at least five times of X hourly. They give X to this one, pay the taxes, pay the utilities, etc., and the remaining 2x they take it as a profit to the stakeholders, right? So now they are ready to invest this like they are not putting you into business. They are like, okay, whatever the hourly rate you currently charging, we will waive that off and we will pay the your salary from our pocket. That is like this one. Or they might also give you like if you're able to do this one, we will give you more bonus, like 20% extra, or we will give you the promotion. It can be anything, right? So business is ready to invest in your project. Right? So business is ready now. First one. Now business is ready in this system. We need to understand who's the end user and how to improve their user experience. That's second step. Third one is we already told the business what we want to do and how it benefit the organization. Now this word, how to implement it, we need to understand what to implement this one, we need to understand the data sources that can enable us to perform this task. That means now the third one should be data sources. Okay, perfect. Let's go to here. So identify your data sources. Reach to the different internal and external source where data is generated and stored. This include database, application, files. Data can be categorized along the three lines: data type, data source, and ingested mode. So data type is like, is it a structured data? It is semi-structured data. This is unstructured data. Second one is data sources, where the data is stored, what format of the data it is being stored. So one is the data is a structure and it is stored because structured data can be in Excel, it can be in database, right? So suppose it is stored in database. Okay, so perfect. We need to pick it. Then file. Okay, there can be file lying into some premises in database, some online database or in a premise database or in some Postgres database. It can be in any database. Then in the logs, again, it is a file, IoT device data, mobile data. So ultimately, we need to understand where the data is residing. First one is the nature of the data. Nature of the data is all about uh, what type of data we have. Is it structured data like is follow a pattern, semi-structured follow certain pattern and then it doesn't follow. Unstructured is like there is no structure at all. So nature of the data, data type. Second one is the data source where that data is residing. Okay. Third one is data ingest mode. How we can ingest it. For example, if it's IoT, obviously we need to take the data every single second, like a stream. Once it's generated, throw it, generated, throw it, generate, throw it. Second is batch. We don't do it every second, very continuously. We do it in a quick period of time, like hourly basis, quarterly basis, what an hour basis or hourly basis or day basis, weekly basis, even sometimes monthly and yearly basis. And it happens like this. For example, the population of a country never change, and you need to get the population of all the countries across the globe for your project. What does that mean? It means that the date won't be changing at least for a year until the next year of data population comes, right? That means you need to run our code once a year. So it's called batch process when the duration is large and it's not real time. Like whenever the data generated event happen and it automatically start working. That's real time based. It is like even if it's come bump, we will wait for a particular time to hit and then the process will run and get me data. So when it is time based, it's batch wise, and when it is event based, like whenever it is dropped, certain event happen and automatically this triggers. This is stream based or live based. So streaming is like sensor, etc. Batches again when we hit it at a particular time or condition. Micro batch is sensor website graphic or video rendering. I think macro batch is like combination of this two. I'm not sure. I really don't have an idea on this one. So let me say it here. What is micro batch data ingestion processing? Is the data ingestion approach where data is collected and processed in every small batches at a frequent short interval rather than processing each record instantly or waiting to accumulate a large amount of. Oh, oh, oh. So it's like combination of this to stream and this one. So it is processing the data frequently, but it is not too frequently where it is processing every bit one by one, or it is not waiting for entire data to come. It is waiting a certain amount of data to come and it is good enough and then it's start processing. So it's a combination of both batch and stream. Okay. So micro batch is a combination of both stream and batch, right? Yes. Continuous low latency, there is less. And batch incoming group into small chunks and process the together as a unit. Apply batch processing operation, transformation, aggregation, validation, or each chunk. Easier handling, error handling, and it does. Ingestion side behave like a stream. Processing side behave like batch. Yep, it will wait for the continuous stream once batches form, then it will process this data. So mm, ingestion side is a stream and processing side is a batch rule. This is exactly why Apache Spark structured streaming uses micro batch as its default model. You write your logic like a batch job, or Spark continuously trigger it every few seconds on a new incoming data, giving you the best of both worlds. Agree. The following example questions can help identify your data type, data source, and data ingestion mode. How we gonna ingest the data? How many data sources do you support? Do you have to support? Where and how is the data generated? What is the different type of data? What is the different format of the data? Is your data originating from on-premise or third vendor or cloud? Is data source streaming batch or micro batch or batch wise? What is the velocity and volume of ingestion? What is the ingestion interface? How does your team onboard new data sources? So pretty much it answer a lot of things about the data sources. So yeah, the the C step, the third step is data identify data source. So it's all about So it says there are was research data can be categorized into three formats. Mhm. So data can be categorized into data type, structured, semi-structured, and unstructured. Okay, data source where data is generated or stored. For example, database, file system, IoT information. Then logs. What else is it? Software as a service data set. Okay. And then is third one is mode of ingestion. So how you gonna ingest the data using a stream, micro batch, or batch processing. These are the data categorization, but ultimately we need to understand about the data source nature. Once we identify it, we need to answer a few things like what is the data type, how much, how frequent it is being generated, what's the volume, what's the variety. So all the questions we need to understand, and I think I have to write it down very properly so that when I'm learning it, I can also use it as a template for myself. This will be good work. Define your storage catalog and data access need. Uh, and define your data processing requirements. So define your storage. Perfect. Now we identify your data type, right? Data sources. Now we need to define data engineer coming. Data sources and what's the second one? It's nothing but data processing, right? So here the fourth one is define your storage catalog and data access need. Simple. Data storage architecture. Determine the best storage for the specific data type. Access data quality to determine the data processing, cataloging, and registering data detail about the data. So ultimately, it's nothing but which data store do you have? What is the purpose of each data store? Why are you using that data storage method? How do you currently organize your data? How much data are you storing now, and how much do you expect to store in the future? How do you manage your data governance? Which regulatory and governmental compliance standard are applicable to you? What is your disaster recovery strategy? I love it. This is all about data storage, cataloging, and governance. Data access need and governance, I think. Is it the second one is all about the governance or data processing requirement? Yeah. So I'm pretty sure it wasn't. So this third one is all about data storage, catalog, and governance. The fifth one is last one is data processing. So I can simply copy paste it. Time being, Uh, Define your data processing requirement. Extract relevant data from the sources like database, data lake, and CRM system using tools such as AWS Glue crawler or custom scripts. Curate and transform the raw data as needed using services like AWS Glue and Amazon EMR, Elastic Mapper and Reducer. So it's like distributed system it provide to run your Python code or any other software something. I'm not sure I need to learn about it, and we're gonna learn it soon, so don't worry. The following example question can help identify your data processing requirement. Do you have transformation or enriched data from before you consume it? Which tool do you use for transforming your data? Do you have a visual editor for the transformation code? What is the frequency of your data transformation, like micro, batch, or real time? Are there any constraint with your current tool? This one, and I do love this one too. I love it. That format this. Perfect. So let's question and answer the few things. I'm gonna come back here tomorrow for revision because there are the question that I want to keep that as part of this one, and I want to create a template of this one because this is gonna be really, really useful in the future as well. So, what is the best definition of data discovery? The process of automatically collecting metadata? No. The process of reviewing sample data from the sources to understand? No. This can be, but not exactly. The process of finding and understanding relevant data sources within an organization and relationship between them. It can be the, but not exactly, but somewhere it's partial. The process of determining the next system. No, I think this is the best that fit. It does. What are the steps in the data discovery process? Three of them. Identify the key stakeholder and data source. Okay, it can be doubtful, but let me take it. Discovery existing data type and format. Discover existing data. No. Establish and test disaster recovery routine. It can be, but not exactly. Ingest and explore sample data to understand data type and structure. Reviewing the document to understand available data sources within the organization. Ingest, process, and deliver the data for analysis and insight. It can be, but uh, data discovery. What data discovery is the initial phase, the paperwork, right? The five step that we understood so far from the above one, this five. First one is business benefit or the business alignment. Second one is the end user. Third one was your data, identify the data sources. The fourth one was this last three is for the data engineers, data, identify the data sources. Second one is data storage, and third one is data processing. So, what are the steps that data discovery involve? Identify the key stakeholder and data sources across the organization. Yes. Discovery existing data type and format. No. Establish and test the disaster recovery routine. No. Ingest and explore sample data to understand the data type and structure. It can be. Review documentation to understand available data sources within the organization. What are the steps in data discovery process? Identify key stakeholder and data sources across the organization. It can be. Discover existing data type and format. Why? No, it doesn't matter. Establish the test, establish and test disaster recovery routine. Yes, it can be. Identify and explore sample data to understand data type and data structure. Where we review document to understand available data sources within the organization, ingest, process, and deliver data for this one. Okay, discover. Okay, my bad. Data discovery process focus on what does exist and how it can be accessed and transformed, and the way to use it before defining and implementing detail. Establishing and testing disaster recovery routine is typically not done. Okay, that's the end part. Although reviewing document can provide the useful background information, the data discovery process is more hand-on and involving interactive session with the stakeholder. Ingesting it- Ingesting this one deliver is the main function of the data analytics system itself, but not part of discovery. Okay. Identify the key stakeholder and the data sources across the organization. Discover existing data. Okay. Data sources like establish no ingest data and explore the sample data to understand it and the structure. Which question are typically asked during the data discovery process? Okay. What are the technical requirements for running the machine learning model on the data? Who are the key stakeholder in the data owner? We need to discover. So I think this is the one that I learned from the second question. Which format and the data type are available? How will data be secured and accessed? Can be which reference architect will be used to build analytics? How will the data be secured and accessed? It's a part of data sourcing. Yep, I was right. Tomorrow we need to have a recap on introduction, bit not much. I think one session gonna be go into data discovery again. Gonna recap it, everything. The system. Then we're gonna move to AWS services and modern data architecture, then orchestration and automation option, data modeling and access system. And within a day or two, we will be able to complete the first section of our five sub-module training. Our module training in this course will be done. Then we need to get a subscription because it includes the lab and it does make sense because we did. Perfect. We will learn it. So after 2 or 3 days later, we're gonna start hands-on experience, and that's gonna be really important for us. I think with this, I can wrap today's time. And it was pleasure meeting you. I don't think anyone joined. Nevertheless,